Another aspect of the Quran is that it mentions history. It is very interesting. Some people are very fond of history. Sadly, I'm not one of them. I don't know. I have a feeling that, history is, unless you're talking about some basic facts about history. You know, Babur came to India, the first Mughal emperor. I have no problem. But in a certain battle, Babur said something to one of his companions. I don't know. I'm not sure, right? So the Quran mentions a lot of historical facts, but the Quran is not a book of history. All its historical facts are mentioned for the purpose of guiding. In fact, if you read the Quran, you would find the Quran has broken historical events and arranged them to suit its purpose of guidance. It refuses to give you the detailed account of history. Surprisingly, it doesn't even clarify that the two pharaohs whom Musa alayhi salam confronted were two different pharaohs. Figure it out yourself. It's not the subject matter of the Quran. You know, the Quran is sticking to its task of guiding. But obviously, when the Quran talks about history, historical facts, even if to guide, they have to be true, or else the same problem will arise. I mean, the Quran says that this happened and it never happened. It cannot be true. Now, it's obviously it's a subject which is again a very vast subject. But I just wanted to point out three different passages of the Quran. One in Surah Al-Baqarah, while talking about the uh, the battle between uh, Saul and Goliath, you know, Palut and Jalut. The Quran, towards the end of its description, in verse 252 says, Tilka ayatullahi natluha alayka bilhaq. These are the verses of Allah. We are reciting before you with truth, completely true. وَإِنَّكَ لَمِنَ الْمُرْسَلِينَ. And, O Prophet, you are amongst the messengers. That is, how could you come to learn about those details of that battle and what led to that battle in such clear way, except for the fact that you are a messenger? Likewise, the Quran, and incidentally, these incidents, these stories are there in the Bible as well. And somebody might say, and people say, the Jews and the Christians say that the Quran is a copy, a plagiarized version of the Bible. But the fact of the matter is that what is mentioned in the Quran and what is mentioned in the Bible, despite similarities, they had to be similar because they're talking about the same stories. There are some glaring dissimilarities as well. If somebody was to, as a neutral person, look at the two texts, would be forced to conclude that what the Quran is saying is making more sense. It is disagreeing in some parts with what the Bible says, and yet what it's saying is making a lot of sense. So it talks about the story of Prophet Zakaria and the way he tutored Maryam alayhi salam, Mary, and then the miraculous birth of Jesus Christ. And while describing it, the Quran says in Surah Al Imran, verse 44, Prophet, you weren't there when they were disputing with each other as to who amongst them is going to take care of Mary. How did you know about it? And this is something which is not mentioned in the Bible either. And then in another passage, that beautiful story that has been mentioned in the Quran, again for the purpose of guidance, in Surah Yusuf, towards the end of the story, the Quran says in verse 102, you weren't there when those brothers were conspiring to throw Yusuf in the well. You weren't there when they were disputing about other matters. This is described by you because you are a messenger. So, you know, what I'm saying is that you read the Quran, and all along the Quran is actually giving you this confidence, and for good reasons. The Quran does not want you to believe for no reasons. It's not a dogma. It's not something that you should believe in because your elders believe in. The Quran is giving you reasons to believe this is the truth.